What's up everybody, Tiffany here with Bowler Steel's Pro Shop, coming to you with another video from the ITRC in Arlington, Texas. And today we are going to be making a few videos. The first one that we're going to be making is going to be last year's Nationals doubles and singles pattern. It was a longer pattern than team. I do remember I used this bad boy for all 6 games, and I don't believe that I moved except for to correct what I was doing wrong, which was quite a bit. Last year was difficult. I do know that it was the same as the team. They were using a new oil, the Glide, which Kegel's now put out. So we're not on the same oil, but we are on the same pattern. It may play a little bit differently. The oil may not be as viscous or thick, but we're still gonna get similar reactions to how the ball is going to roll for me. And this video again is for your average league bowler, local tournament bowler, low rev, low speed. How my bowling balls are going to react on that pattern is going to be similar to what our local league bowlers are going to be bowling with. So last year I did just use this for all 6 games. The only time I moved was just to keep moving right until I could get it to the pocket, because it did go very far down lane. I just recently put a little bit of surface on this, and then I have a few games, so it's kind of not right out of that box finish, but it's got a little bit of surface. I put about 2,000 on it. Also today I have my Phase II, I have the new Bionic, and I have the Transformer. So we're gonna kind of see how all 4 of those do on the pattern. The Hyperdrive is obviously a stronger, solid, asymmetric ball. It's meant to read heavy oil. It's meant to read the lane a little early. It's got that high diff, high flare. It's got the higher intermediate diff. So it is meant for the heavier oil. The Transformer is a little bit different of a solid ball. It gets a little, because of the way that we drilled it with the wing, for me, it gets a little further down lane. It's not as early reading, but it's got a bigger pop or angular back end on it instead of being smoother. And then the Phase II obviously still is solid. It is more of a benchmark symmetric, and it is meant to have more of a controlled hook to it. And everybody's new best friend, which is the Bionic, is a hybrid. I just finished warm-up. It's playing pretty similar to the way that Nationals played last year. I have a little bit more knowledge and wisdom, so I know where to start now. But last year I didn't start far enough right, and I was throwing my ball up 6-7, but my feet weren't far enough right, so I just wasn't getting the angle into the pocket. Kept going through the 3-pin, and last year I didn't know how to make big enough moves. But for anyone that hasn't gone to Nationals yet this year, when you do get to the doubles and singles event, just remember that during warm-up, test how far right you can go. Last year I stuck with this ball all 6 games, but I'm going to show you guys what each ball looks like on this pattern, and we'll go through it. We'll throw some strike shots. We'll see what it does when we miss outside, when we miss inside, and then we'll talk a little bit about shooting spares. And we'll set up our corner pins and talk about going a little bit straighter instead of relying on your hook like we can in league. So my normal starting spot is at 15 during league. That's just my go-to, and then I adjust from there, and I usually throw up 9 or 10. Today we are going to be starting at 10 with our feet and looking at 6 or 7 and throwing the ball at our normal speed. That one felt great coming off my hand. As you can see, there's quite a bit of oil out there for it to just glide down. It doesn't have some big ball reaction. I threw 11.6, which seems to be my normal ball speed down lane. I didn't change that, I didn't go slower, or I didn't try to slow my ball speed down, and I didn't change anything with the rotation out of my hand. Still a good look. Obviously on these harder challenge shots, you're not going to have as much miss room as you do on a recreational house shot or modified house shot. So being accurate with your target is super important. But that one still felt good. It hit some oil. Didn't quite have enough time to turn over into the pocket. And for such an early reading ball, this ball is meant to read the early part of the lane, and for such an early reading ball, you can see that there's enough oil out there for a big, strong cover and ASIM ball to just kind of get a little further down lane before it goes into its roll. And that one went more over 9 on that one, but at least the oil gave it enough hold that it didn't go directly through the head pin and leave some nasty split. Still left me a makeable spare. So let's see what happens when I miss to the outside. Still standing in the same spot. Threw that one up 5, and much like the team pattern, there's a lot of hold on the outside. It's a flatter pattern, so the oil does go further across the lane in more volume. So if you miss outside, luckily, unlike the team pattern, this one didn't slide into the gutter. However, it did hold. So what did I leave? I left the 1-2-4 makeable spare. So nationals for us league bowlers is definitely going to be about spare game. But if you miss outside and it goes through the 3-6, at least you'll have something that's makeable, but you don't have miss room on the outside. It will just hold. And I didn't have to miss by much. Like I said, I'm looking at 7 for my strike ball. And we kind of saw what happened when I missed inside. That one hit 7, so that one came up light. My ball speed has been quite consistent around 11.6, so that tells me that I can stay where I am. It's coming up light. I don't necessarily want to move my feet, but I can move my eyes a tiny bit. Moved my eyes between 7 and 8, came up a little more. I was a little apprehensive to move my eyes to 8 because I thought it might be a little head pin heavy, but let's go ahead and keep our feet, move our eyes to 8. So as you can see, we're getting closer every time. This would be my process during warm-up. Move far right, find a good line that's going to get you to the pocket. That is going to be my biggest goal. Get myself to the pocket, and from there, fine-tune how it's going into the pocket. I like the ball angle. This ball's not overreacting. It's getting a little bit more time to skid than it usually does on like a house pattern. So I like the ball angle. It's going through the pins with plenty of energy. I just need to fine tune it. So let's move half a board to the right and keep our eyes the same. I went over 6 on that one, but moving my feet, even just half a board, made all the difference. Ball speed is still the same. All right, one more good shot with this ball, then we'll move on to the others just to see how they react. That one felt great. Yay! I did it. I didn't have to do like 30 takes. All right, so there we go. Big, solid ASIM ball. I moved right. I sound like a broken record. That's fine, because all you league bowlers that have low rev, low speed, I want you to remember, don't be afraid to move way out of your comfort zone. This isn't a house shot. It is different. Challenge shots, sport shots are very different from what we bowl in league. You are going to need to make big moves. I made a 6-board move from where I usually stand. I'm throwing over 6 or 7, but I'm close to the right gutter. So I feel like I'm overthrowing it to the pocket, but I'm getting to the pocket. So, big moves. Moved right, big solid ASIM ball that reads the lane early because there is enough oil out there for it to have energy. So let's go to our next ASIM solid ball, which is going to be Transformer. This has been my favorite ball. This ball does get a little bit further down lane with more angularity at the back end, reads the lane a little later, holds its energy, not necessarily good on real thick, long oil, high volume oil, only because it's already conserving in its energy. So if there's oil out there to make it conserve even more and skid a little further, it's just not gonna have time to really turn over and do its thing. But let's start in the same place we were and see how it compares. May make a liar out of me. Knock it. It looked pretty going through the pocket. Did not leave a pretty spare at all, and I've been sitting here preaching about leaving makeable spares. But I will say, it didn't look bad. I think I could adjust off of that if I didn't have room in my bag for my hyperdrive, because I think I'm gonna build my arsenal more around team, the shorter pattern, because shorter patterns are harder for me. I think I'm going to be transitioning bowling balls more on the shorter pattern. So I'm going to build my arsenal 70% more around team pattern, and then just have a ball that I use on team that I can use on doubles and singles, and then maybe one more ball up See if I can hit my mark this time. I felt good about where I threw that one. Oh, and my speed is getting up there. Maybe if I would have thrown that a little slower, it would have been able to come into the pocket a little better, but hopefully you can see the subtle difference between the two. This one definitely has more angularity on the back end. The Hyperdrive is a little bit more smooth. Let's see if I slow my ball speed down a little bit. Slowed my ball speed down to 10.9. You could see it had more time to flip over and go into its roll. But so far, even though I'm getting to the pocket, I don't feel like it's got the angle going through the pins like the Hyperdrive did. I feel like the Hyperdrive gave me a little bit more of a good look. I moved one more over. I went to 13 on that. Slowed my ball speed down, still at 10.8, 10.9. See if I can get one more good look, and then we'll move on to the phase. I feel like I'm having to work a little too hard with that ball. I'm having to manipulate what I do a little bit more to get it to do what it wants to do. I didn't feel like I had to do that with the Hyperdrive. So even though I got a couple good looks, I don't necessarily want to have to change too much about how I'm throwing the ball to get it to do what I want it to do or how it wants to roll down the lane. So let's go to the Phase 2. Phase 2 is asymmetric, so it's going to be a little bit more benchmarky. May not read the lane as well at all, but we'll see. That ball just made me a big fat liar. I like the way that looks. I did just re-drill this ball. The ball had a little bit too strong of a drill on it for me, and we drilled it before I knew my pap. So I did just put a new drill on this. I think I put a 45 by 4 1/8 by 35. So still mid-lane read ball with a strong off of the friction read, but still has that symmetric benchmark look. All right, I see you. I see you. Phase 2. This is fun, and all right. Ooh, it wanted to go down. I like it. Hyperdrive is not going with me. I like the way this reads the lane a lot better. That was fast too. I threw that about 12. All right, one more shot just because I want to. can't argue with facts. So, Hyperdrive got the boot. Phase 2 is in first place. That is beautiful. Flarings look great. I can throw it hard. Shit, excuse me. I threw that at 13 miles an hour and it still got there. That's down lane speed. So, let's look at the Bionic. What is the difference between this hybrid cover? It's got the Ion Max family core, just symmetrical. So, let's see how it holds up to where I was standing with the Phase. It's still a symmetrical ball. I have a feeling it may overreact a tiny bit, but we'll find out together. It did exactly as I expected. If you are more comfortable moving left with your ball, this may be the ball that you want to take. All right, we're gonna move another board and a half. Okay. Having to fine-tune this one a little bit more. The other three balls, I was kind of hanging out in the same spot. Throwing between 8 and 10 with my feet. Throwing between 6 and 8 with my eyes. So, let's see. Not a bad look. That one, I stood at about 12. To me, it looked like it went over 7. Had some time to read the friction down lane and pop into the pocket. And almost knocked the 10 pin down. Gonna try to get one more good look with this ball. It's got a little bit more over under for me on this pattern. I felt more confident with the other three and more consistent. So it was a good look. I was 3 boards to the left with that ball of where I am with the other 3 bowling balls. The other 3, I was between board 8, board 9 with my feet and throwing up between 6 and 8. With this ball, I had to move my feet about 3 left, try to keep the same target. I felt like I had a little bit more over under with this ball. It's just the nature of the cover. It is a good ball to move in left, but my only thing is I was more consistent with the others. So far, Hyperdrive got kicked out of its spot with the Phase 2. So I'm going to put 2000 surface on my Phase 2. I've got a pretty decent drill on it. It's a 45 by 4 1/8 by 35, so it's a mid-lane read, but it does come off the friction. And then the transformer is probably going to be for when I feel like my Phase 2 just isn't getting that angle through the pins anymore and going and kind of dying out. So let's look at sparing on this pattern. We're going to start with the 7. Not a fan of the 10, so I'm going to leave that for later. So we're going to start with the 7 pin. I'm going to go back to my Phase 2, since at the moment that is the ball that I am wanting to take with me for doubles and singles. So, Friday night, last Friday, I got to bowl on the dragon pattern. The pattern that the PBA folks, they all averaged 250 on it. Had those little speed bumps on the side. The play of that one was definitely playing inside, kind of swinging out to 8, and then coming in, staying in between those speed bumps, and I figured that out a little late. But one thing that I did practice while I was on that pattern was shooting straighter at my spares. So I can't always rely on my hook on challenging shots like I can in House League. But what I did was I scooted over and tried to shoot more direct. Just something to keep in mind and practice. I felt more confident doing that. I do slow my ball speed down a tiny bit in case I miss it to the right. I do want it to try to be able to hook back, but let's see what happens when I try to use my hook. I just don't know that I can scoot far enough or be accurate enough doing this. I can. I feel a little uncomfortable throwing over the right gutter like that. It works, but as the game goes on, do I know that my hook isn't gonna overreact? I don't. I slowed my ball speed on that one down. Take from this what you want. It's a little uncomfortable shooting over the right gutter like that. I'm being pretty accurate with how I'm throwing the ball. Do I see the transition kind of messing that up a little bit with a few people on the lane? I do. I feel like by shooting at the pin from over here, I have more opportunity to move right as the games go on. And there's plenty of hold. I do feel like if I miss it out to the right, it is going to go where the head pin would be, but that's just, I've been practicing it this way for this reason. I think the transition, when I'm shooting from the outside, I think the transition is going to come up too quick on me because I'm not always leaving the 7 pin. So it could be 5 frames between leaving the 7 pin and there's been some huge transition on the right side of the lane that just doesn't let me do what I want to do over there, and it's going to jump and grab the lane too much. Whereas, as long as nobody is burning up this side of the lane, and even if they are, I can move right from there. So, take from that what you want. This one, I'm just gonna stand where I usually do. That's no different. No different with the spare ball. So there you go. Let's recap. So, I came out the gate talking strong about my hyperdrive. Hyperdrive I don't think is gonna make the bag this year. It didn't quite make the cut for the team. So it gave me a great look. Hyperdrive gave me a great look, gave me great control of the pocket. The Transformer gave me an okay look. I had to adjust my ball speed and how I threw the ball a little bit more to get the ball to do what it wants to do and needs to do for how the core and the cover work together. That might be my second ball. Coming out, it's got more angularity, so when there's more friction earlier down lane, that may be the ball that I move into when my other bowling ball starts to get a little lazy going through the pocket. Phase II. Man, this ball was my favorite ball before the Transformer. The Transformer came out. I loved how it looked when I threw it. I put it first in my bag. Haven't thrown the Phase II at League since, but after I put the new drill on it, put some surface on it, the results were undeniable today. Every shot of it coming off my hand was controlled. I got to throw it how I wanted to. It didn't make me come to it as far as adjusting my ball speed and all that. And it had more reaction than the Hyperdrive did. It turned over, had more energy going through the pins. The Phase II is going in my bag for doubles and singles. And this was a tough pattern last year. I don't see this year's pattern being any harder. Phase II is going in my bag. So the Bionic, I believe, has a spot in my bag for Nationals. The Bionic will be great on the team pattern, the shorter pattern where I have more confidence moving left because there's more friction down lane. It lets me move left, swing it out, predictability. Unfortunately, that predictability just didn't transfer to the more volume and longer oil pattern. So there you have it. And also shooting spares. Practice shooting your spares straight on, slowing your ball speed down, not relying on your hook. I feel like if you're leaving a bunch of corners, but they're not every frame and you've got a few frames between, I feel like there's going to be a transition that happens that is enough to not be consistent every time. So I think shooting straighter at your spares will give you more versatility to move in as the games go on than already starting way right and having to jump that right gutter. But up to you, whatever's more comfortable for you. I don't like throwing over the gutter. I prefer trying to come straight at them and let just a little bit of hook take it out at the end. But there you go. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives some of you a little bit more confidence and practice for Nationals to try to move right, try to make big moves, and good luck, everybody.